Well, I promised you a world-class jockey. Let's go and see who it is. Morning, Jamie. Glad to be here today. Really looking forward to this interview. I told all our members that we had a world-class jockey today, and we have. Winner of how many classics?
2 in England and a few in Ireland.
I think it's like 6 classics, 7 classics.
Yeah, something like that.
I looked it up this morning, and over 40 major wins throughout the world. Incredible feat of jockey, and it's just really, really impressive. I'd like to start with the interview for our members of where you started, Jamie, and how young you was, what part of Ireland you come from. If you could just talk to us about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Tipperary. My family were farmers, and my father was a horse trainer. He was 1 of 9, and he only wanted to get married, and he waited till he was 61 or 2 when I was born. So he was the youngest, and if he was alive now, he'd be 103, I think. So yeah, I was fortunate to grow up on a farm all my life. We had ponies and horses around, and it was second nature for me to, I couldn't wait to get home from school every day, because you just get home, it's like everybody's mum screaming at them, take your uniform off or whatever, so that you don't wreck it for next day's school, be straight out on the ponies. And then, from basically.
How old was you then? Because I heard you was quite late before you started actually.
Yeah, it would have been, well, because we had tractors and stuff, I was always on them. So I was probably 9 or 10 when I really got into riding. But the ponies there was always horses there that I could have ridden. My sister was big into it, but I was always out on the farm, and it was easier to herd sheep and cattle when you had the pony than on foot.
And was you riding for your dad then, or?
Yeah, my dad passed away when I was 12, so it was only my last few years that his last few years that he saw me like riding the ponies. And then he made, when I was about, I don't know, maybe about 6 months before he died, he said to me, "Oh, if you want to be a jockey, I'll only allow you to leave school if you go to one trainer." And he was called Liam Brown, who are Mick Canaan and Tommy Carmody and Stephen Crane and Pat Gilson, and there was a very good jump jockey called Mark Dwyer in the north of England, now a Breeze Up consigner. They were all apprenticed to before me, so he allowed me to go there, and I went there for my summers, and it was hard work, but I think when you look back now, hard work didn't harm me, and it seems a long time ago, but there. And obviously growing up, our farm bordered Edward O'Grady's, and in the 90s he was the big jumps trainer for,
these are trainers that I've not heard of, and it's like.
We had Edward O'Grady, obviously, training lots of jumps winners. He was the winning most Irish jumps trainer at Cheltenham till Willie Mullins, obviously, and Gordon Elliott came along and dominated. But so our farm bordered. So
was that jumps for you, or?
No, I used to just ride out there in the mornings before. I was in boarding school, so I only came home once every 2 weeks. So, but I was like, once the start of the second week, I couldn't wait to get home, so I'd have my Saturday mornings riding out there. And then obviously when I went to be a flat jockey, I wasn't there for years, but once I got going, I did ride a winner at Cheltenham for Edward O'Grady in the bumper. So that's about 20 years ago. But yeah, I had a good childhood growing up, and where I went to school in Cashel, there was only 4 of us in the class, and one was Fozzie Stack, who Tommy Stack's son, and Tom Magner was the other boy, and the girl Elma Hobson, she's now the teacher there. So
really,
yeah, there was
that's incredible, isn't it?
3 dunces and the teacher. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and Tom Magner runs Coolmore Australia now, so it's
that was
a small world.
A real setback losing your dad that early, though.
Jeez. It was tough, because obviously they were elderly, and like they all died within like 7 or 8 year period, all my uncles and my aunt and my father. So yeah, it was a big setback, and the only way I can describe it is you just had to grow up very quick. I left school when I was 14. So I blagged to my mother that I'd take a year off, which was, we have your first 3 years, then you have like a transition year where you decide if you wanted to be a vet, you go and work for a vet for a year, and then you go back and do your final 2 years, like your A levels. But once I'd got my license, there was no chance. Yeah, it was away. I was 15. It was like a week after my week after my 16th birthday, I think I rode my first winner. So
wow.
Yeah, so I was lucky. And, you know, just been lucky all the way through.
You've worked hard as well. I mean, every time I interviewed different people, especially from the old days in Ireland, when they tell me how tough it was, Paddy Prendergast and all them sort of people, how tough they was on the young lads.
It was tough, but I think, you know, every weekend when you start off as an apprentice and you're riding against Pat Smullen, Mick Kinnan, Johnny Murtagh, Christy Roach, yeah, it was tough. Kevin Manning, you know, they wouldn't give you an inch.
All the top jockeys, yeah.
They wouldn't give you an inch, but you learned from them. All the time you were learning. Like Christy Roach used to pick us all up and bring us racing because we didn't have a driver's license when you're 15 or 16, and he was very good to us all. Like he'd give you a right rollick, and if you did something stupid in a race, but also very helpful and always wanting to help people along. And it was good days, and very fortunate to have, you know, good mentors
Fond
around.
memories as well.
Yeah, good
when you
memories.
go back, yeah.
It was good. There was plenty of fun too along the way. And then, obviously, when I was around 18, I was riding for Tommy Stack, and Barney Curley used to come in the summers because he was bringing horses for Galway, and that's how I bumped into him there. And, you know, obviously from there, he convinced me. A year later, he said, "Look, you're in Ireland. It's a you know, a very small pond with a lot of big sharks in there, and you had Mick Kinnan and all them. I was never going to get a good job if I didn't, you know, move on."
To be fair, Barney Curley, that's a name to hit on, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he was fantastic.
Lots of people got fond memories of him. It's somebody that I never ever got to meet. I've seen him on the telly.
Yeah.
But when you talk to other people, everybody speaks so highly of him.
Yeah, he was like, he didn't suffer fools. Like he was, you know, he made you, well, you had to concentrate the whole time. But he was, you know, he was very good. He used to have a red chair in the house. If you got called to sit in the red chair, if you blinked, you were lying. And it was like when he'd ring up and he said, "Oh, I want to see you." He used to call me Lord Lucan because I'd be going missing for 2 or 3 days. Nobody could get hold of me. So I want to see you. Where have you been? And he just, it was easier just to admit he'd done something stupid or whatever. But Barney is, you know, he's brilliant, and he was the one who introduced me to Luca Comani. When I came like in the millennium, I didn't know anybody. I'd been champion apprentice the previous year, but nobody really knew you. And he brought me around Newmarket, went to see William Haggis, Luca Comani, and I started riding out for them. And I was lucky. It's like Kieran Fallon was riding them after Stouts when he was available. Obviously, Frankie still rode for Luca when he wasn't riding for Godolphin. And in a matter of weeks, Frankie had a plane crash on I think the 8th of June. And then Kieran got injured at Royal Ascot at the end of June. And I went from riding the runners at Thirsk and Ripon to riding everything because the two guys got injured. So I got my opportunity on the back of somebody else's.
Did you ride at all for Aidan O'Brien?
In Ireland, yeah. I rode a group winner for him as an apprentice. And then obviously when I started riding a good bit for Luca, the end of that year when Kieran and Frankie were out, I got some good rides because Mick Kinnan slipped the disc in his back, so I ended up getting a Group 1 winner for him.
So I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong in saying world class because you're riding for all the best trainers, all the best horses by the looks of it.
Yeah, you're getting on the good ones, and it's just a case of trying not to muck it up. Just take your opportunities. But it just showed that to get the chance, you need something to go wrong for somebody else, and that's the way sometimes life works. But yeah, I came to England in the millennium and I lived with Tony McCoy for the first 6 months or a year.
That would have been interesting as well.
Yeah, he was
solid man.
Yeah, he was a machine. Yeah, he was just
good teacher.
Yeah, just one-dimensional mind. He just wanted to win. That's you know. Remember him coming home one time.
I think all professionals are like that.
He had like his he had a fall and got a kick in the arse, and his arse was like twice the size of the other side, and he had to wear tracksuit bottoms because he couldn't even wear his trousers home, and all he was thinking about was riding the next day. And just remember thinking, like, he's just so driven, and well, his
but
record,
you've been the same to a
years.
point.
Yeah, like obviously it's a tough game, horse racing, and it's at the end of the day, it's like you're a single person sport. It's not really a team, is it? But you're riding the horses. If you don't win, well, somebody else will take your position, and so if some days are good and others days are tough, but you got to take the rough with the smooth, and don't get too excited when you win and too deflated when it doesn't happen.
From what I can see, you're quite a private person. You're not the showman, jockey.
No.
And I think I just wanted to, before we carry on with that, just hit on with because of your riding style.
Yeah. Well, my style is to be conservative on the horses, and it suits some people and it doesn't suit others.
It doesn't suit the gamblers.
No, well, yeah, that's the way they.
I actually had a good conversation with David Simcock about this. Obviously, you're riding for him now. He's an absolute gentleman, David.
Yeah.
And when you try to win from last place, do you set out to do that, or is that just the?
Sometimes his horses have good turns of foot, and he trains his horses to have a turn of foot. So, sometimes it just works that way, and he prefers the horse to be relaxed and finishing strong.
Yeah.
And he understands it, and I've been riding for him for a long time now. So I do enjoy riding for him, and not really work. When you're doing it like that.
Yeah, no, he's a good man.
Yeah, it's an ever-changing sport. You see a lot of changes, good and bad. I think the medical side of it for jockeys now is much better, and they're making it easier with one meeting a day. I think that's good. And
do you support that?
Yeah, I think one meeting a day is sensible. But on the other hand, we look at everyone's the same old story. Everyone moans about the prize money, but I'm not sure it's going to change in my era. But hopefully with Whirlpool and the Toad, I think they're smart.
Massive help at the moment.
Yeah, and they can. I think they're the only hope we have.
Yeah.
So
you wouldn't be relying on the BHA.
Well, from the last 25 years, no. But I think Whirlpool put a lot of money into York last year. You see, just yesterday they said that every race going to be 100,000 at York this year.
Wow.
You'll see. It'll be full up. Every race will be full up.
Yeah. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
I was in France in the week, and the prize money is so much better. Mm-hmm. It's run completely different, so more relaxed. So when you actually come to England, then you was rider for Luca Comani. Yeah.
Yeah, I did 3 years with Luca, and I did 3 years with Luca. He was very good. He'd have bust-ups with Luca, that's the way he was.
He's Italian,
yeah, but he'd have a row with you, and then that'd be it. Be done. You're done for 6 months. That'd be it, and then you'd be back in again. I rode from probably on 3 different stages. Rode from then, and then I rode from again maybe 2007 to 2009, and then I rode for him for the last 3 years of his career.
Where did you go from?
So 2004 I was in Ballydoyle, and then I did 2005, 6, I freelanced. 5, 6, 7, I freelanced here, and just did it for the numbers. And then you just race every day, try and have, 100 winners. I had 200 winners one year, luckily. And then I went to work for Jim Hay from 2010, 11, and 12, which he was good. It was just at the time is what I needed, and to be able to not have your foot on the gas and up and down the motorway every day. When you're riding for an owner, it's a bit more different because a lot of it is about galloping the horses and working out which ones are good and which ones are not so good to get rid of.
And he's a big supporter of racing.
Yeah, massive. And he's been for a long time.
He's put a lot of money into racing.
He's put a lot of money into him. We won the Ascot Gold Cup, and we had another good horse called Cape Blanco at the same time. He won 3 Group 1s in America. So I was lucky he had a few good horses at the time. So yeah, still good friends with him and share different hobbies. I don't play golf, but he does shoot a lot. So I go there shooting in the winter.
Yeah.
Spend a bit of time with Jim and Fitchery. They've been very good to me.
Yeah, that's good. And then from there you've gone freelance again, or?
I had 2 years at Qatar, and then I've been freelance. Well, basically I've been riding for David Simcock predominantly since 2015. So 8 years basically been with him. So hopefully he'll see me out.
I think he'd like to.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, he's a very good trainer. It's a lot of fashion. All sports are probably fashion, and you get your period. I think he's happy with probably around 100 horses. He always has around 100 horses, so it's a good number and it works for him. And hopefully you're just always hoping to have one or two good ones, which it looks like he's got two decent older horses.
He's got some nice horses.
Yeah, light infantry looks. He and Cash looked.
Has he come back light infantry? He went to Australia.
He went to Australia for. What was a $15 million race, which he was favoured for. He finished 5th, and so he's coming back. He's
coming back to the UK.
Yeah, so he races in I think three or four races here, and then he goes back to Australia. So he goes to Kieran Maher and David Eustace. And
that was a nice success story for a little syndicate.
Yeah. So they've done well. They sold half the horse. He went down and raced for a lot of money, and then he's going to go back and race in all the big races.
Nice. And what's happened to Cash?
Cash he's only had 2 races last year, and he's second in both. He had a setback after being beaten a short head in the Derby trial at Sandown by Westover, who went on and was unlucky in the English Derby and won the Irish Derby. So his form stacks up. So he's back, and we're looking forward to him this year. I think he'll be one to look forward to. He's a big horse, and I'm sure he'll be better at 4. And being a son of Shamardell, they generally improve.
Yeah, nice. So what would you say was your favourite horse over the years? Have you got a favourite?
I won 7 races on one horse one year for Luca called Boz, and he was the laziest horse alive, but he'd only ever win by a head or a neck, so the handicapper only kept putting him up 2 pounds at a time. So he was
7 times in a year.
Yeah, he won 7 times. One of the years I was champion jockey, he gave me 7 winners. So
nice.
Yeah, he was handy to have. He was a good horse. Obviously, Sariska was a very good horse. One of the best I'd ridden, but she needed her condition. She needed soft ground in 1.5 miles, and then she was pretty much almost unbeatable.
And what about your setback when you had your injury? What was that? 2020?
2020. Yeah, that was.
I didn't even know that till
that was difficult. So I broke my hip and my femur. I had a spiral fracture in my femur, so I still have a rod down there and have a nail going into my hip. But yeah, it's much better now. It's taken a few years. It took probably a good 1.5 years before I recovered properly. I can't run, but I exercise other ways anyway. But it's because the rod, as Barry Garrity said to me, I said to him about, I might get the rod out, and he said if you want the pain again, he said, because to get the rod in, they hammer it down the centre of your leg and down to the bone. So to get it out, it has to come out that way too.
I think it'd be set in there, yeah.
Yeah, so I just decided that I'd leave that in, and as I was about to say, Barry Garrity said to me, we're jockeys, don't need to run. He said you can get fit by the pool or on the bike, or I walk a lot. So it's it was a setback. I wouldn't want it to happen again, because when you don't know an injury, the pain that I can remember lying on the ground waiting for. It was 45 minutes before the ambulance came, and even the 2 girls from William Haggis's yard came and were putting a rug over me because it was in the winter, and I couldn't even have that touch, the pain of it. And
what was this, on the gallops?
Yeah, on the gallops. Yeah, on the way home from the gallops, and then I think I was 3 days in Addenbrooke's, longest 3 days of my life, because it was COVID times, so you had no visitors. I was in a ward with a fella that was after coming off a motorbike, and he used to save up his morphine during the day, and then he'd take it all at 11 o'clock at night, and he'd start ringing Yamaha in Japan at 2 o'clock in the morning, screaming that you broke my leg. And then I was in bed, and I was in traction, and if you moved, obviously, because I hadn't had the operation until the next day, and I was going, oh, he said, if you once more, he said, I'll come over and I'll break your other leg. So I was in bed all night. I don't worry about much, but I guarantee you that was the worst 3 days of my life, being in that hospital. So if someone said to me, you can take 75, you get hit by a bus, or you can live to 90 and there's a chance of another time in hospital. I'd take the 75 all day long. I'm no good with hospitals.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, so thank God I got out of there. Yeah, it was.
You still feel it, or is it?
No, it's good. It's cold weather. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not any injury in cold weather. It's not ideal. I went skiing last week with a few friends, and well, I'm used. Well, because it's your mindset. When you're going to fall, I have to turn around and throw myself the other direction. So I'm always paddy last down the mountain. Yeah, I'm like a snowplow. I'm an ad for the snowplow. I keep to about 10 miles an hour.
You're still enjoying it, though?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah. It's good.
So just as for our members of the Watch Our programme, I'd like to ask you where you see British racing at the moment and where you think it's going. Just your thoughts on it. I mean, you know, like I'm always having a dig at the BHA. I know they think they're doing their best. I'm not a keen supporter, but like they can't even sort out whip rules, and I'm just worried about where racing's going in the future for people at our level.
Yeah, I guess. Look, we're living in a woke world now. You know, people get offended by nothing. You can see even the way John McCririck used to speak on Channel 4 Racing. If that was now, Ofcom would be flat out with complaints. It's just the way it is. Or John Frankham's banter about how McCririck was dressed. It's a changing world. You can't say things that were fine even 10 years ago. So, in my opinion, with regards to whip, you know, we're pandering to a minority of maybe 1% or whatever, probably not even 1% that moan about it. So, yeah, obviously, it's a sticky subject, and I don't really get involved in but I just think you got to draw a line in the sand and say, like, if you don't, as Ted Walsh said, whatever 4 or 5 years ago, if you don't like watching a horse race, we'll go and watch Peppa Pig. You know, stop. Don't whinge. And I just worry for racing, for people at our level, with prize money so low, costs so high. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Well, you know, we was talking about it before, where you say in Australia you need to win 1 or 2 races, and that pays for your season. Yeah. I ran in a race the other day, and if we'd have won, I think we got $2,000. It was a bumper. Mm-hmm. And $2,000 for a race, it's just obscene. You know, we're selling them type of horses now, because unless you just like going there for the day out, it's no good to you. Yeah, and I think it's a very valid point, and I think something needs to change. As we discussed, the Whirlpool and the Tow obviously are, for me, the biggest hope we've got. When you see what they're doing with the prize money coming into Ascot and into York, but what most people don't understand is that the racecourses get the money. It's up to them to put it back in. York put 100% back in last year, so. I didn't know that. That's brilliant. Yeah, so the racecourses need to follow suit. It's all fine them getting the money from Whirlpool, but they distribute it how they see fit. Well, you know, it's nice to hear something positive for a change rather than a negative. I think that is our big hope. I would say, and I'm no expert on it, but I know Alex Frost quite well, and he's passionate about racing. So you've got a chance there. So if it continues as it has done. The prize money level should go up, but it's a joke that we're so far behind, and all we're doing now is become a nursery to Hong Kong, America, especially Australia now. You know, you get a horse that finishes 3rd in a 1.25 mile maiden here and wins a 1.25 mile maiden, they can get, I don't know, if it's a 50 grand yearling, you'll get 200 or 250 or 300 for 350. Yeah. So to go to Australia, because the BHA won't have that. There's 72 races worth $1 million or more in Australia. So you don't even need to win them to make your money back. Yeah. You know, you get placed in a Sydney Cup. And to be fair, it's for us at grassroots, it's like they don't really want us in it. No. We've got no place in it because we're all putting our hard-earned money into something for the love of the sport. Mm. That's the hard part I find, is that for an owner at the moment, even when you win, you lose. You don't, you know, in theory, if your horse wins. That's a good slogan. Even when you win, you lose. Yeah, I know a trainer that sent a horse from Ireland, a filly, from Ireland to Newcastle maybe 2-3 years ago, and with the costs and everything, the owner lost money, and the horse won the race. So he didn't even cover the costs. So yeah,
It needs to be addressed.
yeah, something has to be addressed because all the good horses are being sold. Well, we're just fortunate at the moment. It's been propped up by Darley, Coolmore, Juddmonte.
We've just done an interview down at Darley, and we said the same. What would happen if they disappeared?
Yeah, well, if all three of them, Darley, Coolmore, Juddmonte, Shadwell, it's nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
So if at some stage that they're not, who's going to pick up the baton after them?
Yeah.
There'll always be people to buy horses, but I just think the owner needs a fairer crack of the whip. And as I said, like if you've got a horse that's capable of winning 2 or 3 times a year, it should cover your costs. It's crazy if that's not the case, because how many horses win 3 races in a year?
Yeah, not
very
many.
few.
Yeah. So, finally, Jamie, where do you see Jamie Spencer for the future?
I don't know.
What's your plans? How are you feeling about the whole thing? And
obviously, horse racing has been my whole life. And I suppose when you're young, you're kind of a bit dumb, and you don't think, actually, I've got to survive the rest of my life. So, but it's been good to me. I've been racing for nearly 30 years. I've been involved in the industry. It's a great game. I think I've seen the world, and it's.
And you're one of the best jockeys in the world.
Yeah, I've been lucky to see the world, enjoy a job. Yeah, look, anybody that says there's not hard days. You go to Newcastle on a Friday night to ride a horse in the 7 o'clock, and they start shutting the A1 at 8 o'clock, and you don't get home till 1:30, and then you get up galloping the next morning. Yeah, they're long days, but the good days, you always seem to remember the good days more so than the bad ones.
Have you rode in Japan?
I've been in Japan. I've ridden the Japan Cup 3 or 4 times. Yeah, that's different. I've spent 2 winters in Hong Kong.
They say you're treated like superstars there.
Yeah, Japan is good, but it's demanding. You basically get locked up from about 5 o'clock on Friday evening till last race on Sunday. You don't see anybody. They call it jockey jail, and they keep you there. You've no access to the outside world.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then you get out Sunday evening, but Sunday is like you have a vast amount of races on Saturday and Sunday. So Japan is different. Hong Kong is demanding. It's hard. I spent 3 months there did winter with Pat Smullen, Lord rest his soul. 2 of us did a winter there together. That's hard because it's intense and it's very results based. He's only racing twice a week, and the Chinese love the horse racing. So yeah, that's tough. Dubai is a bit easier.
I think that's where the future of racing is
in
abroad.
Asia. Yeah, and look, you see Saudi Arabia. I think they've built 12 new tracks, so it's only going to get bigger and bigger in those.
I've got a couple of owners, big owners now, that won't have horses in the UK anymore. They're sending them all different parts of the world.
Well, yeah, as I said to you, there's 71 or 72 races worth over $1 million in Australia. So it's you're getting value for your money.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you have a filly here in the summer that finishes second in a maiden at Windsor, the Americans will want her for the East Coast of America because they can run to break a maiden in the East Coast is $75,000 to the winner, and then obviously
they can actually buy your horse.
Yeah, they can
pay
buy
for it.
Yeah,
yeah.
They can. You can get most of your money back if it's not regally bred.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep reiterating that we need to be careful not to be a nursery for the rest of the world, and just you get your horses, and then all of a sudden it shows a bit of ability, and they buy it off. Everything will be gone.
Yeah.
Bar the superpowers.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, but I hope I'm optimistic that Whirlpool can.
I think things are changing very
yeah.
slowly. I've seen even at our level, I've seen the prize money when you see at Lingfield now. It's creeping up a little bit.
Creeping up, yeah.
So
everyone just wants a fair crack at a whip. That's all you ask for.
Yeah.
If you could break even, you'd be happy.
Very, very much so. So, but listen, thanks for having us here today.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for coming.
This will be great for our members. So, thanks very much, Jamie.
Keep supporting everyone.
Thanks very much.
Right, thank you.
If you're enjoying Grassroots Racing Channel, please subscribe. It's totally free and it will help us a lot.